5 o'clock, so let's get started. It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Um,
Is
You as well.
Stephanie a member of this meeting? Is Stephanie in attendance in this meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm just sort of hosting.
Well,
Someone has, I have the Zoom account, so like
she
I
has,
host, I have to host almost all the meetings. So
Oh, that sounds like fun.
yeah, so yeah, that's okay. I'm just your host.
Well, do you want me to add you on the list of attendees?
It's fine.
Okay.
she can be the hostess with the mostest, right? Okay.
Sure.
No guests. Don't see anybody. Meeting notes. Did you all read them?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yep.
Any additions, any changes? That's because Donna does such a good job.
Thank
Um,
you.
So, sorry. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
Deb beat. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. All right, no correspondence, no member inquiries, no incident reports. Fido float recap. Let's spend some time. I think I've got two columns, kind of, the good and the keep and the change. Okay? So, what do you think? How did it go? Are we good to keep it the way we did it this year?
I think having two groups for large dogs worked way better than just having everybody clog in all at once. It was easier to observe. It was easier to wrangle. It was easier all the way around. And there were a couple of people who signed up for both. They just left at the end of the first one and then came back in the second one. And that seems to work well.
Okay, I agree. Anybody else? Who else? What do you think?
I absolutely agree with what Deb was saying. I think the one difficulty we ran into was definitely having the two pools. And I think that was more of a COVID thing, that using that pool to the left, that was, I guess, the instructional pool, I don't think was as well enjoyed by the dogs as much as the middle pool.
Yeah,
Agreed. And I think, Kristen, that's a lesson learned in that was the way we had to set it up. But once we knew, next year, I mean, hopefully we won't have COVID, but we also know to limit the number.
Yeah.
So we'll put that. What do you all
Yeah,
think?
and for some reason, if we have to limit numbers again next year or whatever situation we're in, I would almost rather open up like a third time for the large dogs rather than using that that other pool. So just a thought.
Okay, or describe that other pool a little better so that people understand if they sign up for it, what it entails, because it was good for swimmers. It was good, but people just didn't like walking into 3.5 feet. Is that so?
Some dogs really like that pool, but you're right. If they're not swimmers, they're not jumping in there and swimmers, and it's the wrong pool for them. That's, I think, the problem we ran into. A lot of people wanted to be able to just walk in, but you can do it in the other pool. But some were loving that bigger pool, but it does create an issue because we were telling people you had to be in a pool you were supposed to be in, and then we were letting people slide around. So it created some issues from that standpoint. So then we need to be really clear if we have it, how we're going to handle those requests.
So Nancy, do you have something to say?
I was just going to say, I think defining what that pool is will help them because some people didn't realize which one. But I agree. I sort of agree that you might need a third session for large dogs if you're limiting the number in that pool that they can walk in and because obviously that was the pool that was popular. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with COVID next year.
Well, in the past 2 years, at least, we have not had the swimming or the instructional pool or whatever even open, at all. And Kristen, I think you mentioned that our description of the pool was different from what Fanny members call the pools. So, right?
Yeah, for sure. As being a Fanny member, not this year, but in years past, and having all of my kids go through swim lessons, I immediately thought when it was instructional pool, it was that middle pool, the one with the lower entry, because that's where, I mean, there's a million kids in that pool. So immediately that's, if I was signing my dog up, I'm like, yep, that's where I want to be. So, yeah.
So I'm going to put potentially keep other pool, but define its use. What do you think?
Yeah.
Be more descriptive in its use?
Or match the name that Fanny references these pools. Potentially.
Well, I think that's where the issue was. They called my kids call it the dolphin pool. The one where it's just the 2 entry points and it's the same, like they call that the instructional pool, but not everybody knows that. So I think, yeah, clearly defined, and maybe even put in the description that if we use that pool, that it's for those swimmers, those dogs that are that can easily jump in the water and easily find the steps and get themselves out. I think that was the most concerning point. So maybe put that in the verbiage as well.
I agree. Anybody else? Any other suggestions?
Well, I feel like I was at a disadvantage because I hadn't been there before, but I thought it was an amazing event. It was everything, it lived up to everything you said it would be.
The most wonderful day of the year, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Really awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously pre-registration works, right? I had one couple, I don't know, did anybody else? One couple came up and said, we didn't know, no worries, we'll know next year. So they weren't upset, they weren't mad, they were just asking. Did anybody else have any trouble with people not knowing about pre-registration?
I think it was
Nope.
just that couple.
So we keep it that way.
No, absolutely.
Okay. Time-wise, do you think the length of the sessions?
I think it was more than adequate for the large dogs to get really tired while they were swimming and chasing toys and be ready to go when they were done.
And
nobody complained that it was too, did you hear anybody complain it was too short?
No, I didn't.
No.
How long was the length again, Kathy?
Did we do an hour and a half?
An hour and that's a long time. I mean, it's a long time.
It was just barely an hour because we started getting them out during that half-hour break.
Okay, or that's about, I mean, when I take my dog to the dog park, I don't stay an hour. It's like tops, because they're exhausted. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And I think swimming is
Weren't
even
we 11 to 12:30? And then 1 to 2:30 and 3? No? Shoot, come on, you all. Shouldn't we remember? One of us remember?
I thought it was like an hour and 15 minutes for some reason. But
Okay.
might have a
So we'll keep it the same length, whatever it is, right? We'll keep it.
Right.
All right, that works. That works. And because the t-shirts were so cute with the mask, I think that's why people wanted to buy them.
Yep.
I don't think we should sell anything again. No, what do you all think? I mean, it was nice.
I think the whole selling it at the event is too difficult. I think, again, if people ask for it, we could always give them the option of we would need X number of people to make a second order on the t-shirts and you could pick it up later.
Yeah, I think that's good. Just offer them the opportunity to sign up to receive the t-shirt later.
Could that be added into the registration portion of it? Like as an option when they register, pre-register? Then they could put their sizes and stuff.
You can get it early, and if we get enough, great. If not, you send them an email and say we didn't get enough orders. And then we're done.
Good answer there. I like that. I like that. And it would just be, I mean, it is the logo, so it's, so they know what it is.
Is that a moneymaker for us?
Not really.
Uh-huh.
Is there a way to make money off it? Like maybe like a Fido Float bandana you could buy for your dog? That's
Well, see, those are things that those DAMC has. And under normal, I mean, in previous years, I believe we ended up giving them away.
Oh.
Yeah, as opposed to people buying them. They were little bandanas, but I think they had the date on them. And I think there were plenty still left. So it wasn't a big item, but I guess, would we want to offer that along with something for people and something for the dog?
No, I think it's too complicated. And in the past, there hasn't been that big of a request for it. And it kind of, I'm sure there's a minimum number we would have that DAMC would have to order. And it's not fair to ask them to go in the hole any further for us. They're gracious enough to get us our t-shirts and sponsor it.
Okay, but I'm good with that. I do like add the pre-order T-shirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah.
smart idea. I really do. Because if everybody's pre-registered, adding a t-shirt is easy.
Yeah.
So, and let's run that past Karen and Caitlin too,
Absolutely.
right? Just to pre.
So can I understand correctly for the minutes? We definitely want to we want to pre-order T-shirts at the time when people register and also allow them to order them on the day of the event or not?
I think if we're going to do pre-order, I think, because what I'm going to guess is that anybody that's pre-registered, the question is we'd have to find out from DAMC when they would put t-shirt order in. Because if we're having people pre-order, it's going to be simpler to put it in with the original DAMC order. There'll be a huge cost savings to do that.
True. So we're saying on pre-order, we're not.
I think so, because you're talking to the same audience,
Yeah.
right? And they see the logo, so it's it would be a few people who maybe changed their mind,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it's worth a new order for just a few people. I think we ended up reordering 15 or 20 new T-shirts.
Mhm.
You know, after the after.
Right. And I think if you go with the pre-registration, order it, then we could even have the T-shirts and give them to them at Fido Float. Like if we could do
Absolutely.
things ahead of time, and then they could order their size. Then you're not paying for unused T-shirts. You order exactly what you get, and there's no waste. So
Right.
I think that would be good.
Yeah, you don't have to chase anybody down to collect any money. It's all
Yeah.
Right.
short and sweet.
But we'll run that by and make sure that that's workable within the system when they register. Okay,
Right.
Dr. Will you add that?
Yes. And so that's going to be checked out with DAMC or
Start with Karen and Caitlin, and then
Yeah.
as to the
Well-
feasibility of discussing it with DAMC.
All DAMC will need is numbers. They're so good.
Yeah.
They are so good, and they've been so good for so long. That's the other thing. So is there anything we should change?
I don't think so. Seemed to be a good event. Everybody seemed to have a good time. No issues, really.
Cost the same, everything?
Absolutely.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Absolutely. If it ain't broke,
Okay.
don't fix it.
All right. Then anything else on Fido Float? David, we missed you. You missed a good event.
My dogs don't enjoy the pool, so.
Nope.
So,
Nope. I remember your dogs enjoyed the decking around the pool.
yeah, but they don't really enjoy the pool, so.
Hopefully, maybe by next year, I will have a dog who enjoys the water, and we'll see.
Hope so.
Caroline, you got to come one of these and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I don't want to be that lurking person without a dog.
Are you kidding? There actually were people who rode bicycles to come and lurk.
Yeah,
We didn't.
lots of watchers.
Yeah, there's a lot of watchers.
It was fun. Oh, Kristen, you mentioned that, and I don't mean to be, I'm pointing at you, like, I don't mean to point, sorry. About a place where people can watch, which I thought was a neat idea. I just don't know if it's doable.
Yeah, that's something that we'll definitely need to take some brainstorming and probably talking to Jim and the logistics of the pool itself. But there were a lot of people that were interested in just watching, and it really is fun to just sit there and watch the dogs. But if you notice, like Fanny Chapman, there's no really good viewpoints from outside, and I didn't know if there was any way that there could be a way that dogs, people could see the dogs, whether could they use the swim team pool for those instead of using that, I don't know. It was just something that I wanted to throw out there. You guys have been doing it for so much longer, and just thought, I wonder if there was a way, or, let people know that the smaller dogs, which are equally as fun to watch, what their time is, and you can easily see that, Any thoughts on that?
Well, but they are equally as fun, and in some ways more fun than the big dogs, but yet.
The big dogs are just the biggest hoot.
Yeah, it's just.
The bouncing, the running, the smacking is just.
The leaping all the way out.
Oh gosh, yes. Yeah.
So I'm making a note, and Jim would be the one, I think. And if we're under this, which fingers crossed we won't be, as far as limited people, then that would be a definite no. But maybe we can work out a fenced-in area. I think it's a neat idea.
The only thing that I could really kind of come up with in my limited thinking on this was kind of that upper area where the entrance is, where the dogs would come in and out. Instead of having that be a dog entry point, have that area completely blocked off so there was no access to pools, that area, there was no access to dogs. That would be a viewing area. And where we took the dogs in at that lower pool, that could be where the dogs could enter in and out. So, because I know from Jim's perspective, an issue would be the safety of being around the water and pools and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with him 100% on that. So in my mind, that was the only place I could really think of would be that kind of landing area.
Yeah, like a viewing platform.
Yep.
Or, the other thing that occurred to me as you're talking, Kristen, is on the yard where we fence off the potty area, that up on the top of that hill behind the potty fence would be a fine place to put a bunch of chairs. And I think you could see the pool from up there on the grass by the teen pool.
Well, and we can talk about this later too. Could we say visitors are allowed after the dogs have entered, and give people a time where they could come in and stand at where you were talking, Kristen?
Well, the only thing with that, and it seems these past 2 years, I get to hang out with Deb in that area, and we're often corralling loose cannons at that point. So there's a lot that do actually escape into that area. So that would be my concern.
It's not just something that's petite and low key. It's always something that's 75 pounds and off the wall.
Like that dog Pickles, was that its name?
Oh, that was a small one. The big Labradors are the ones that get me, or the Great Dane. I tried to corral that last year, and it was like, anyway.
Or the larger Goldens too. But
yeah.
Okay. So it's something to mention to Jim, right? Right. Do you all think that's a good idea? I mean, I it encourages more people to see what it's all about.
Mhm.
All right, so I put change, have a visitor spot. Anything else? Times are good, everything else is good? Okay. All right, then let's move on. Anything else on Fido? Nope. The video, like I said, I've got
Sorry.
pictures moving through instead of, you know, me having to hit the button on the picture presentation. I've updated the pictures and it's on its own, moves on its own. Trying to work the narrative that Donna, you and I and Warren and Deb, I think you were a part that, remember when we went through that?
Right.
Trying to work that with the pictures.
Uh-huh.
So it's not going to be a video, but it's going to be a moving presentation. Does that make sense?
Right.
I just hate my voice. But, you know, if anybody else wants to do it, they're welcome to do it.
I think your voice is just fine, Kathy.
Yeah,
I'm
perfect.
afraid you were going to say that. But Nancy, if we can still get, was it Matt?
Yes, so Max, I just saw he got some kind of a offer to do some kind of internship for sports. So maybe Stephanie knows what's happening with him because I haven't heard anything. Steph,
He was asking for some logos from which we provided him post event. And I just sent him an email today asking him how's it going when, you know, with the videos. So the request on the logos was a couple weeks ago. So just waiting for him to respond and hopefully show us what he's put together for the events of that day. And just so everyone else knows, we had basically 3 events going on that day.
Wow.
I
yeah.
did.
Handled all of them, right?
He was at all of them. We had a tree planting followed by an event for the bike hike committee, followed by the event at Fanny with Fido Float. So he captured everything and, you know, hopefully is putting together a Fido Float video for us and then a tree planting and a Step into September bike event. So sort of a post-event recap of what went on that day.
So do you think we should leave him alone for a little bit and let him?
Yeah, I'm hoping he'll respond to my email and let me know how he's making out with the videos and if he needs anything else.
The high schoolers just went back on hybrid, I think, this week. So I know or last week. So I know it's a little complicated. But I did see, Stephanie, that his mom posted he's going to be doing something with sports. So I don't know if we lost him. FYI.
Yeah, but maybe just,
Okay.
maybe we'll just, Steph, keep us posted.
Yeah, you know, I will. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, hopefully as long as he wraps up what he did that Saturday for us, and then, you know, we can kind of go from there. But I don't know if everyone saw the preview that we did at the Board of Supervisors. Nancy, is our liaison to TAB, showed the sort of what I'll call a commercial pre-event that we worked with our TAB committee on that we can do. So if you've got little clips or from the event itself for next year, we can do voiceover and we can put that together. And
Okay.
we can, we showed it to the board September 15th, so you can see the little clip. And Nancy, it was what, like maybe a minute at the most?
Just
I mean,
a
it was
minute.
very
Yeah,
short.
like, it was short. It's just
Short, sweet, and to the point. But
Right.
It's
The bike
you know,
hike one, right?
yeah, the bike hike one, Step into September for Trails Month.
Jean
So,
did
yeah.
a nice job from TAB of narrating it. And
Yep.
Stephanie, I think you wrote the
Mhm.
script.
I wrote up the script and yeah.
It was perfect.
So
Yeah.
we
Great
could do-
example. Yeah.
And we just provided members from the committee had some photos and some video clip that we had sort of in the archive and strung it together. And it's a great thing to put out on social media. Lets everybody know about the event. You can do it well in advance so that people can sign, you can have the information about signing up and stuff like that. So happy to work with, Karen and you guys next year through TAB for when you get ready.
So Steph, in that, would we send our video clips to Caitlin, to Karen, to,
Yeah, I would include Andrea, our special projects coordinator. She can certainly, keep a folder. She'll set up a folder or a Dropbox for you and drop them in there, and then it'll be a go-to place for everything to be pulled from. Probably like a month or so out. That'd be great.
So if we wanted to do that for next year, would we want to send everything now, or would we want to?
I'd send it now so you don't forget, and just put on there 2021 Fido Float, and then you'll have everything you need, and just kind of go to that folder and call it up and pull out what you need to create the video and everything.
Okay.
I just want to add on that for a sec. Stephanie, that would be awesome if we had like a Dropbox, and maybe you do for each committee. So, okay, because we need to remind, because when I take pictures, I'll send them so you can add them to the Dropbox. Then when you want to do an event, you have it already. I know that's really been on your mind, Kathy, for figuring out how to promote, and it's that collection of pictures and events and items and
an easy.
Great.
So I'll reach out to Andrea and shoot an email to everybody, because all of us took pictures at different times, or most of us did, for Fido Float, and then we can just have them there ready for her to use.
Yeah.
I have the one, remember the little dog who drank the fountain the whole time?
Yeah.
So I have that one. It's adorable, but just a clip of that would be so.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's what we want.
Okay.
Okay.
That. The survey, I was hoping Caitlin would be on, because I would really love, we talked about doing this with Fido Float and didn't, but don't you think, or do you think it's time to get that out and act on it? I mean.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a long time we've been talking about it.
I don't know. So what do we do? I mean, do we get Caitlin to send it to the township, and then get Caitlin Steck to send it to Caitlin Finley, and she sends it out? Is that how it works?
Stephanie?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the easiest thing to do, is have it sent to Karen and Caitlin, and they can put it together. We can do it on SurveyMonkey if that's what you're talking about.
It's all set to go, Steph. It's already.
Okay. Then, yeah, I mean, they can work. I mean, Andrea's done a number of SurveyMonkeys for us, so we can easily get that done.
It's how to get it out there, right? We're ready.
Yeah, and then we promote it. We promote it through social media, through the township, and Karen can send the emails to everyone who's registered for the dog park and things like that. So pretty easy peasy. You can put it in, insert the SurveyMonkey right into an email that goes to your membership.
Well, will somebody else remember to email Caitlin and ask her to send it to Karen and Caitlin Finley? Can somebody else?
And include Andrea in that too, so she can work with them to set it up. Okay.
I don't know.
Would it be good to also, when you do it, to remind you to continue to update your records for your dogs if they've, like, how often do you send reminders out? Do you wait till they're expired, or how does that work? Since mine's coming up, so I'm just curious how that reminder works.
You'll get a reminder a month out.
Okay.
Right? Well, and there's no need to update until, well, no, if you've expired, you get the reminder. But
okay, thank you. I just wasn't sure, because I know I'm coming up. Okay, thank you.
So, all right, I will send Caitlin a note. Anybody else? No? Oh, come on, you all. All right, I'll do it.
Kathy, I can reach out to her. That's not a problem.
Thanks. Thanks. But wait to get Andrea's email but thanks, Kristen. All
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
Now, here's my other question on that is, what do we do once they return it? Like, do we get together and go over them? Is it set up so that it tallies itself?
Yeah. Through the Survey Monkey, Kathy, everything will be tallied for you. And then any open-ended questions, you can do a printout of comments and things like that. And we can make copies and provide the responses to you. And then you guys can look at it and figure out what it's saying to you, what the readout is.
You send out, do we say, please respond by a certain time?
Yes.
You have to set your parameters and everything.
And
And
is
you
that
send it out, yeah.
Is that 2 weeks? Is that what? I don't know.
Do
Depends
more
how
than
quickly, yeah.
that would be more than 2 weeks. I think it's
You probably want 3, and you're gonna have to push it a few times and remind people to do it, make sure that you get a good response.
So put a 2-week notice initially, and then give them a
And
grace
extend
period.
it. I mean, yeah.
Okay, Kristen, are you listening to that?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to include when we send it out?
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I'm not quite sure, what you're asking. So I would assume some sort of brief little cover note that would go with it as to what it is and, sort of a what and why, and just, but very brief, which I'm sure you've already done besides your questions.
It's
So,
been long since we've looked at it, but
oh, okay.
so maybe that's what we need to do, is go back into we all have a copy of it. We don't need to reinvent it. We don't need to change it, but let's, Kristen, can you do that as well?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay,
I can take care of that. Yep.
thanks. All right. Anything else on the survey?
I do have a copy of it right here, and I can read what it says in the beginning real quick if you want.
Okay.
With that right now. It says, Doylestown Dog Park, we want your opinion. All answers are confidential. We would appreciate your honest feedback and comments so that we can continue to make Doylestown Dog Park a safe and enjoyable space for members, both human and canine. Thank you for your time to complete this short survey. And then it goes to the first question. So that's what it currently says. It seems to me that that tells the why, and that tells what it is. And all we need to do then is put in a time frame of when to send it back and how to send it back.
Mhm. And are you doing, I'm assuming you're going to upload this to a SurveyMonkey, but are you also going to allow people to respond, those who maybe who don't want to, or quote, don't have a computer and don't want to respond that way? Are you going to make it available at the borough or the township building for people to pick it up and respond sort of in person? How would you sort of do that? How do you anticipate doing that?
I don't think we talked about that, did we?
No.
Well, if they don't have a computer, it's unlikely we're going to be able to tell them about it.
Right. So,
Is it common to just put it in a trifold or whatever and have it in a?
most people do the SurveyMonkey. I'm assuming, it'll 9 times out of 10, the SurveyMonkey works, and it's an online way to complete the survey. I just didn't know if you were communicating on any other way for your members to respond. So,
We did
I mean,
not.
if they're members and we have their email address and they're willing to receive emails, then, easy thing to do is send them the email with the survey link and hope they respond that way.
Another idea is if there would be a possibility to add something at the dog park itself, like have takeaway surveys. If we're concerned that there's not going to be enough people that actually have an email address for us, but you could leave some in a clear, envelope posted there, and then have a box where they could return it so they could fill it out or something. If there's an issue, I don't know if people will actually go to the borough office to pick up a survey and return it. But if we want to get more feedback, that could be another avenue.
So could we wait and see what response we get sending it out?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
And
probably your best bet. And then the other thing you could have, depending on how long you want to keep it open for, is when they come to register here at the township or re-register, if it's in that time frame and they haven't, the front office staff can always say, have you completed the survey? And if they say no, we could always have it here for them to complete.
Okay.
That's another option.
And
Just trying to get as many people as you can to respond.
Who would enter that information then? Somebody-
We would have to enter it here.
Right. I mean, I think you just send it out, see what response you get, and go from there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
No complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, that works. Good. So ASAP, I mean, this is the beginning of October. Do we want to anticipate that we can, evaluate or look over the results of the survey at our next meeting? Is that wishful thinking?
I don't know, because that's election time as well. People may not be as, they may not be as focused on something that's not the election. Maybe we could look at it at the December meeting.
So you think we should still send it out now?
I do, yeah. Just let the election fall in the middle between sending it and getting the responses.
So then that would be
Yeah, we should
leaving
be.
it open for longer. Is that what you're saying, Donna?
Well, it would keep it open for longer. You're right. So maybe that's the disadvantage of doing that. I don't know what anyone else thinks of that.
Well, I mean, we can send it out right away and give them 2 weeks, and we should have it for next meeting.
Well, that's true.
And then if we don't wait till after the election and send it again,
Right. Do that.
or,
Do you have a threshold that maybe if you only get surveys usually only get a low percentage of responses anyway. So I guess you just resend it if it's like, what's the threshold, I guess? How many members are there?
let's say 400.
So maybe, I don't know what those stats are, but I'm thinking they're probably going to be pretty low.
So low like in 25, low like in,
Yeah.
yeah,
Really getting anywhere from 25 to 30% would be extremely well
Yeah,
in a
really well.
return. Really well. So, I mean, your goal is of course 100% compliance, but most likely you're doing really, really well if you hit, 30% return.
okay.
Well, can you put it on the website too, Kathy, that maybe there's a link? Hey, if you missed it in your mailbox, here's the link for the Survey Monkey about our dog park, that kind of thing. That way you sort of may catch them both ways. Sometimes things get lost in their spam or get stuck in their junk box and they may not see it at all.
I think
As
putting
well.
it on the website would be a good thing. What do
Yeah.
you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you're not a member, you're not going to answer it, right? I mean, you're a member and you may not answer it anyway, but, we're not going to get people just filling out a survey. So I think that's a good idea, Nancy. So we would just send that just ask them to add it to the website. I think that's a real good idea. All right. Anything else survey wise? So we're going to send it out immediately and ask for a 2-week response or a response within 2 weeks and then go from there.
Yep.
Okay. All right, good. Wow, let's get that done, and out of there. All right. Anything else on that? All right, we've got November. Do we meet in December?
Well, that's a question I have. It says that our next meeting date is November 3rd, and that is a Tuesday. And we normally meet Mondays. And it's also election day.
Well, yeah, that's a mistake.
It seems to be, unless there's some.
Yeah, that's got to be a typo.
Okay, so next meeting is November 2nd.
And because November 3rd, well, I mean, I guess we can Zoom meet no matter what, but yeah.
So why would we change the meeting day?
I won't be there if it's on the 3rd.
Well, I don't know if anybody wants to be there on the 3rd. I mean, but the 2nd, and I'll double check that was a typo.
It's Kathy, I'm checking right now for you. Sorry to interrupt. I don't mean to be rude. But I'm on the township calendar. It is November 2nd at 5 p.m.
Okay.
And I might as well ask you now, it says that you'd be in the activity trailer, but I'm assuming you'd Zoom again?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. All right, I'll
Right,
set your Zoom up. I'll set your Zoom up for you and you can take it from there. But obviously that was a typo on your agenda.
Okay.
Okay. All righty.
And one more typo that comes up every month. On the agenda items, they're listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Could we change that to put a 6 in there?
I will talk to,
Still
I
a-
believe Karen does your agenda, so we'll let Karen know, right, Kathy?
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, but
That's okay. No,
Well, I'm trying to think what 6 used to be. I mean,
6 must have been
obviously that's
something,
what-
yeah.
What happened is 6 was something else that we took out.
that's probably it.
Good catch though, Donna. Good catch.
Ugh, whatever.
All right. New business. We really don't have new business, but what I would like to do is, if you think about it, we go in January, we want to start with new goals. We want to start with what do we want to accomplish for that year. So those of you who are out at the dog park, keep your ears and eyes open. And let's start thinking of what we want to change, what needs to be changed, or what would be a good thing to change, or leave things as they are. Okay, but let's start thinking of potential goals, potential changes that we would want out there. Okay.
Yep.
Kathy, one thing you and I've had the conversation, I'd love to see like photos with Fido, even if they're taken and we can tag them on, and again, them can be put in your Dropbox, but some ways that would be sort of a fun thing. And maybe even a social veterans, we do like a veterans night or time at the, anybody can go obviously, but we recognize veterans or we recognize, I don't know, whatever it is. It might be like to make it sort of a social event,
Or do a monthly, or do a quarterly, or do a.
Nothing too over the top, but it might be a neat way to make it a social event. Because the people that use the app, some of them don't because they just always know what time they're going. But you find sort of who your people are. But it's nice. It would be nice to recognize people and maybe force that socialization. I think of anything with COVID, we all crave that social interaction of some type, and dogs allow that to happen even if you're not the biggest extrovert. So
and we build it for that. We just never use it for that. So I think that's a good way to think, and what we can do, what social things we could do.
right, and that's a great idea for in January to think about what that could look like. So
Yeah. So that's orientation October 17th, 9:15. David, you can be there?
As far as I know now.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sounds
Two
like you
people
need to
could-
have someone else that can be a sure thing. In
Um,
case David is not able to come.
Is
Unfortunately.
there an on-call person maybe?
Mhm. Well, you can put me as an on-call person, because closer to the date, I'll know if I'm available.
Okay. All right. And it's the part of it depends on how the room is left as
Yeah.
far as what needs to be moved. And the other thing is that, there is just the certificates. What we have to do is much less than what we used to have to do because everything is pre-registered.
Right.
But it's setting up the room that's the most important thing. So David, put it on your calendar, okay?
Yep, I did.
Good. All right. And other than that, anybody have anything else to say?
I just wanted to mention one quick thing. When I was at the dog park a couple days ago, that I saw some poison ivy in a small dog park size in the tree enclosure closest to the water fountain. So should I just email that to Karen?
Sure.
Okay.
And here's something that I want you all to think about, because we have been, since day one, we have been a no chemical, no spray, none of that. So, and I am fine with that, but we have to deal with things if we're not going to use herbicides to kill bad weeds. So there may be some things that we could change. Just kind of think about that, because Donna, you're right. It's there and it's going to be there because it's hard to get rid of. That's
Yeah.
Are they going to be rotating anything, Donna? They haven't rotated the parks in a while.
Yeah, we rotated today.
Oh, you did? Okay, haven't been there. Okay.
We were rotated today.
Okay.
So Deb, where are little dogs?
We're in the midsection, the part that in the beginning was large dogs.
Yeah. Good. Wow, have little dogs ever been in that area?
Off and on. I mean, we've been in there off and on, back before. But I mean, nobody's been in there since we did the work on the drainage.
Yeah.
So we're the first people back.
Okay, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful. I mean, really awesome.
It does look beautiful, but I'm going to have to talk to Karen. I found one or two potholes that are just cleverly concealed. And I was stepping in one that literally I was over my ankle bone in a hole.
Oh.
Ankle breaker.
Definitely. I mean, it was definitely deep enough that I was like, oh, this is so not good.
And was that close to where the construction was done, or is that an old?
It was
by a dog.
the tree in the middle. It was off to the left side of that area, and it was just a deep pit, and I was like, okay. So I think if I could figure out a way to get some wires and some flags, when I could just go out there and stick a flag in each hole that I find, and then figure out a way to get dirt to fill it in.
Well, the problem with that, and shoot, I've got a ton of those little wire flags, except then, a dog's going to come along and say, oh, look at this, and pick it up, and it's going to take off.
Well, if it was large dogs, probably. I think the likelihood of the small dogs is slimmer. They don't seem to be overly, they seem to be impressed by a ball, but they're not, I don't know how impressed they'd be with a wire flag, honestly.
Well, and that's something that we need to, that goes back to people staying with their dog and not allowing their dog to dig holes. I mean, that's what that goes back to. I
get that. I'm looking at it from the perspective of, I walk slowly for the most part, but I don't want anybody to hurt themselves out there.
Or any dog to hurt them.
Right.
I mean, that's a knee, that could be a hip. I mean, that could be for two-legged and four-legged.
Right.
So again, that's something that we can discuss and address, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I assume that the ultimate thing is to get it to Chris.
Right.
Well, but with the idea, remember that he is not just
Right.
dedicated to the dog park. Those three guys have the entire park system to maintain.
Thank you.
So if our members, not our owners, if our members if we could figure out a way to, I'm preaching to the choir here, but
Yeah, seriously.
But I
people,
think there's a safety issue there though, because that is
Yes.
a liability. They would have to look at it.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Want to help it.
absolutely.
Stephanie?
Something we want to know right about. I mean, the thing about the poison ivy, which you said was near the drinking fountain, so that's where people go.
No, it's
Chris is licensed for herbicide pesticide spray. And I know you guys are very conscious about that, but at the same time, having someone who is allergic to poison ivy and going to get a drink at the drinking fountain and get poison ivy, we've got liability. Having holes that dogs dug, figure out how to tell them to not do that. But it is it's a liability for us, and we don't want to, we want to know about that right away. That information needs to come in through, Karen, the front office. If not available, so that it goes through the proper channels and we can get it to Chris and they can address it. So
That's what I was thinking about. If I can get some of those wire flags, put them in the bin that's in between it, that's in the dog park, the one bin for tools and stuff that we have there. If there were a couple in there, then if I found one, I could go in there and take a flag and stick it in the middle of whatever and go, here's a deep hole and I've marked it and made your life easy so I don't have to go 20 paces from here and 2 paces this direction like a treasure hunt.
yeah, that's probably a good idea, because he may find a smaller one and miss the big one,
Right, and that's what I'm thinking.
on the way,
I
with 20 paces and his 20 paces maybe a little
Oh, they'd
different.
be so different. It would be so
You
different.
and me both, right? Exactly.
those flags had invisible fence written on them.
Who cares what they say? All I would
Yeah,
be
just a
looking
flag,
for
yeah.
is just something that I
I'll
could
talk to
stick-
Chris and Dave. I'll talk to Chris and Dave and see what they would suggest. But Deb, that's probably not a bad idea, especially if you guys know it's there and nobody else does. So
Well, that's just it, and I don't know a way to make it clear enough what I found,
Sure.
where I found it. But I could probably find it again and then put a flag in it and go,
makes sense. Yeah, I
You
know
know,
what you're saying.
You also just use some spray paint on the grass, or is that something
I was just gonna
the dogs, get on their paws?
I was going to say that could be the other thing is a can of what Donna just said is a can of spray paint in the
Yeah.
in that toolbox as well.
With
I
the field
just-
spray, right? The field spray.
we're coming into winter. Is it going to freeze solid?
I would
Well,
imagine the
But
grass
the thing is, at least it would be there where you won't be able to get a stick stuck in the ground when the ground.
Well, if it's one of those wire flags, it won't be that hard to stick in frozen ground. Heaven knows I've done worse in frozen ground.
if you couldn't get those flags, that you could use the spray paint instead, and maybe the grass will be cut one more time before the end of the season. Just a thought.
Who knows? So here's something I know that Karen's thinking about, and then we're gonna stop, is a maintenance time at the dog park.
Okay.
And it's been in conversation. I'm not sure if a definite time has been set, but that people will know that if maintenance is going to be done, it's going to be done the third Wednesday of the month from 9 a.m. to noon or something like that.
Okay.
Or the flip side is, as Steph said, Chris knows his pesticides. And if we wanted to close a day and spray, but I know that there's going to be a maintenance time. And again, when you spray inside those fences, and he strongly recommends keeping those fences.
I think they're great.
Mm-hmm.
But there will be a maintenance time. And Deb, I can get you orange flags. They're in my garage.
That'd be perfect, because I'm just thinking, you know, if I know that they're there, then anytime I find something like that, I can just plant the flag and go, here, there's a hole. You know?
Um,
And hopefully nobody takes the flag out while, you know,
Right.
the only thing would be the mowers.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for using the pesticides, the poison ivy that I saw is now in the part of the park that used to be the Little Dog Park, but apparently we've moved to the middle, the middle field. So that's the poison ivy's in a portion that is now closed. So that would be a perfect opportunity to use pesticides.
No, the large dogs are in there, Donna.
Yeah,
Oh, they're in there.
rotated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody's rotated.
I see. Okay.
So, and I really think that maybe the spray paint would be the better idea, but I will give the orange flags. That means they're out of my garage, which is good. And the Nancy Chu said that the line paint or whatever you call the
The field line paint probably is the least, no one's going to trip on it. No dog's going to take a stick, and then Chris can find them and then work accordingly.
If somebody wants to put a can of that in that box there, I'll be happy to contribute a box of gloves, and I'll be happy to spray it. So no worries. I'm
Okay.
just looking for what's available, what's cheap, and what's accessible to me. That's all I'm looking for.
Stephanie, Chris could probably tell you what he'd prefer too, just from
Oh,
protection.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'll share the conversation that you've had with Chris and Dave and Karen and see what they're, make sure the three of them follow up on it. Okay.
Super.
Good, Deb. And you're absolutely right. You need to bring those things up. And
Well, I want it safe. I mean, I don't want anybody. I think more of people like Karen who have crappy ankles, that I just don't want her out there walking and finding a hole the hard way.
right. I wish we could make a sign that says, "Did your dog do this?" But that doesn't work. So I think the paint and the sign, and the flags, and like I said, I'll get the flags out of my garage, and
There
they
you
are
go.
orange. They'll be in that thing in the morning, in that
Perfect.
the straight on one.
Well, I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a plastic. I would call it like a plastic box for
Yeah.
yard supplies.
Yep. I think there's some of my hoses still in one of those. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Right. I feel like I've been hiding this whole time. So all I see is a shadow of me. But so are we adjourned?
Yep. I make a motion that the meeting is adjourned.
Okay. Second.
I'll second.
All right. We're adjourned. Thanks, you all.